So we'll continue, God willing, Ezrat Hashem, just basically finish off the last part of the second lesson in the Likutei Moharan. It's a little bit hard because he summarizes the whole lesson in this one, verse that he brought at the beginning. V'emar Hashem Moshe, as Hashem told Moshe, Emor leKohanim bnei Aaron, tell the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, v'amarta lahem, and you shall tell them that nefesh lo yitama ba'amal, that nobody's allowed to, none of the Kohanim are allowed to basically become impure to any dead body or anything like that. So Rabbeinu ties it in. He says, Emor el Kohanim, b'chinat tefillah, k'mo shekatuv et Hashem ha'emarta hayom. So we learn from Devarim that the word emor means prayer. Kohanim hem b'chinat Torah, b'chinat neshamot, k'mo shekatuv ki siftei kohen yishmeru da'at ve'torah v'chulei. So the Kohanim correspond to the Torah, which we said are the sparks that when a person takes the Torah and he prays, he takes the words of Torah, right? We're talking about the Torah that all the Torah that he keeps, obviously all the little nikudot tavot, the good deeds, good stuff that he finds from within what he does, and from within all the mitzvahs he does, and then he takes all the sins that he did and he brings them all up in vidui dvarim, which means he speaks about them, brings them into words, and when he brings them, so he brings those words of Torah, right, in like a hidbadadut, in like a tefillah before Hashem, but he brings them. He finds from within those sins that he did, he finds those little nikudot of mitzvahs. And the reason why I don't give examples on this idea is because I myself have a very difficult time finding, a mitzvah from within a sin. That's why Rabbeinu kind of points it out in Reish Pei Bet. He makes a point of, he uses the wording is very that you need to search and look, and he makes it sound like it's not the easiest thing to do. The one example we do have is by Moshe Rabbeinu in the golden calf, like we brought a few times. But in the golden calf, we see that Moshe Rabbeinu that was the thing he brought before Hashem. He found the nekuda of a mitzvah that in the actual golden calf that they did, the gold itself that they brought out of Egypt, Hashem commanded to bring that gold out. And Moshe Rabbeinu mentions that when he's on the mountain asking for forgiveness. So he finds a little nekuda, a little point of a mitzvah from within the actual sin itself that was made out of that gold. And then he brings, the covenant, and remember the forefathers' covenant you made with Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So that's the one example there is. I'm still working on trying to figure out how exactly you find, the mitzvahs from within all the things that we did. Like a point of mitzvah from within a sin a person did. It's a little bit difficult. But Bezrat Hashem will open it up and we'll get, different ideas of how to do that. And what exactly it means, because I myself don't know. And that's basically the key to the whole thing. The main way a person can flip the entire, sin that he did into good and turn it all into blessing and bring up, that incense, that Reach Nichach Hashem, is through finding that one nekuda of mitzvah from within the sin. So Zat Hashem will get to that one day together. So Emor Kohanim, tell the Kohanim, right? The Kohanim, why do the Kohanim correspond to Torah, to these little neshamas, these little, we said that all the Torah that a person brings up, all these little nekuda tavot that he gathers from within, all the things that he did, good or bad, he needs to bring them up in a vidui, in a prayer before Hashem. They're called little sparks. Each letter of the Torah that he brings up in prayer, each one of those letters is mamash like a little spark, a little soul. And he needs to bring it up in prayer. So the reason why Kohanim correspond to Torah is because it says in Malachi, the second chapter of Malachi, it says, Ki siftei kohen yishmeru da'at ve'torah yivakshu mipiu. That the lips of a Kohen protect the wisdom, and Torah will be asked, to be spoken from his mouth, which means the Kohanim are the headquarters. So what Rav Nachman means over here is Ki siftei kohen yishmeru da'at, the lips of a Kohen. So we know the Kohen corresponds to Chesed, right? It's just kindness and Chesed. The Sfirot Kohanim are the cheseds. Because Siftei Kohen is talking about when a person speaks chesed. His lips are always speaking about his nekudot tovot, and that's why it says the lips of a Kohen will yishmeru da'at v'torah yivakshu mipiu. They're the ones that will protect your da'at. Right, so a da'at again is the center line, the combination between chokhmah and bina. It's the center line is the da'at, and the way and Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe Mashiach corresponds to that da'at, that power from within you. The way a person can protect his da'at and protect his Torah and not take it the wrong way, always draw it through the center line, is only through having the lips of a Kohen, which means always judging himself favorably and speaking about the chesed, the mercy of Hashem, and how much Hashem has rachamim on his people. That's the reason why the Kohanim are the headquarters of the Torah. They're the ones that protect the Torah because they come from that side of chesed, those tzaddikim who always judge themselves and everybody else favorably. So they correspond to the Torah because they're the protectors of the Torah, of the Da'at. Aharon corresponds to the Mishpat, like it says, V'nasa Aharon et Mishpat b'nei Yisrael. Aaron was the Kohen Gadol. He was the one who carried around the Urim v'Tumim, which are called the Mishpat, the 12 stones. Whenever we also had an actual mishpat, we would always go and ask the Kohen, and then the stones would light up, and we would know what Hashem wanted us to do. So Aaron corresponds to the mishpat. So what Hashem is telling Moshe Rabbeinu in this pasuk, where he's saying, "Vayomer Hashem el Moshe," Hashem told Moshe, "Emor el hakohanim bnei Aharon," he's saying like this: "Tzarich lahavi et kol hatfilot levchinat Moshe Mashiach, v'hu yakim et hamishkan." So Hashem is telling Moshe Rabbeinu, you have to bring all this Torah needs to be brought up in words of tefillah, and by doing this you give strength to the tefillah. Because a person, like we said, the only strength a person could have in his prayer is if he brings the prayer always to the center line through mishpat, and the only way you can do that is by finding those nekudot tovot and always having those lips of that Kohen and finding the chesed of Hashem, remembering the covenant that Hashem promised, right? That's the only way a person can draw that down. So Hashem is telling Moshe Rabbeinu, which corresponds to the Da'at, in order to protect your Da'at, you have to draw down the words of Torah need to go up in prayer, and they need to be drawn down through the mishpat, through the center line. So they need to all be brought to this aspect of the Da'at. V'hu yakim et hamishkan, and that's what will lift up the Mishkan, and that's what Rashi said over there. Rashi explained, La'azhir ha'gdolim al ha'ktanim. I know what Rashi means. La'azhir, in order to light up, to draw light. The big ones will draw light down onto the small ones. So what Rabbeinu is explaining, what does that mean? Hainu tzaddik hado, the tzaddik of the generation, right, which is a person who's always justifying himself, right, that nekuda, that little nekuda of tzaddik, that good nekuda that you find, shu bechinat Moshe ma'or gadol, which corresponds, that tzaddik, that nekuda tova, that corresponds to Moshe, which is the great light, which is the yud on the top of the aleph. Again, it's always connected to the aleph, right, the entire Torah, right, everything. I don't know if I'm going to be able to connect it all, because myself, I'm just starting to learn this Likutei Moharan. I learned it a little bit, I read it and stuff, but I never managed to connect to Likutei Moharan. Even in Uman, I never connected to Reb Nachman. I always connected to Reb Natan. Never felt any connection over there. And only a few months ago, it opened up, and I started trying to learn it a little bit in a deeper way. So the Moshe Ma'or Gadol, Moshe, who's the great light. We know Moshe corresponds to the sun. Rabbeinu brings, I think, did he bring it in Torah Aleph? No, he brings it in a different Torah, maybe the 49th Torah, that Moshe Rabbeinu corresponds to the sun, and Yoshua, his student, corresponds to the moon, which we know are the sun and the moon are the upper yud and the lower yud. And the Ohel Moed, which is the actual Ohel where the Holy of Holies was, that's where Hashem spoke, to Moshe Rabbeinu. That corresponds to the Vav. Rabbeinu brings that in Torah Vav, the 6th lesson. So Moshe, which corresponds to the big light, will light up the prayer, which is the small light. So Yoshua, the lower yud of the Aleph, corresponds to the prayer. So we have the Torah, right? The Torah needs to be brought, it needs to be drawn down through the center line. It always has to be brought up to the dot, which is that nekuda of tzaddik, which means you have to always justify yourself, find that little nekuda of good that you did from within everything. Obviously, all the nekudot of good that you grabbed from within your life, the good things you did, and then all the little nekudot, little points of good that you could find from within the sin itself. I don't know if it means by justifying yourself, or actually finding a mitzvah from within the sin, why there's a mitzvah like with the golden calf one. But you need to find that nekuda. That nekuda corresponds to Moshe, to the tzaddik, to the siftei kohen, the lips of kohen, which is those lips of chesed, always finding the nekudot tovot and leaning onto the chesed of Hashem. And a person needs to Moshe Ma'or Gadol Yazhir v'ya'ir et ha'tefillah shehi b'chinat ma'or hakaton. So that's what will give light to the prayer. Nefesh, and then it says in the pasuk, Nefesh lo yitama ba'amav. Haynu l'idei shmirat habrit. Nefesh lo yitama ba'amav means that the kohen is not allowed to become impure to any dead body. So, but what Rabbeinu is explaining, that what it really means is it's saying that a kohen is never allowed to, you're never allowed to impure any souls from the nation of Am Yisrael. No one is ever allowed to be judged, in a way where you're putting them down, you're blaming them in the judgment, ever, because the person's soul, a person's neshama, is not chayav in this world, especially not in this generation, but in this world it's not chayav. All the judgments and the things that we learn, that like if you do sins, you're going to get punished, you get Gehenna and all of that, that's all talking about in a situation where a person doesn't judge himself favorably. Because the way a person goes in this world, that's how they go with you in this world and the upper world. If a person's always judging himself bad and putting himself down and blaming himself for everything that he does, so in Shamayim they say, okay, you're right, you judged yourself wrong, you're to blame and you'll get punished, right? But if a person's always finding his nekuda toivas and he's judging himself favorably down here, there's no judgment on him upstairs. No judgment whatsoever. Not only is there not a judgment, he'll get all the light from all the things that he fell in. Because he doesn't make a separation in the Torah between Yud Kei Vav Kei and Elokim. He doesn't make a separation between the mitzvot aseh, the do's and the don't do's in the Torah. For him it's all one. And all the things he fell in, he finds in the Nekudot Tovot, he judges himself favorably, and through that they judge him favorably, and he doesn't get punished for anything. Not only does he not get punished, he'll get all the light from all the mitzvahs that he fell in. All those sparks of holiness will come to him. So nefesh lo yitama ba'amav, you have to be very careful not to impure anyone. And that's what Rabbeinu is explaining now. Haynu alidei shmirat habrit. How does a person merit to this? By remembering that covenant between Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. That this nekuda toiva, this is the only thing I'm looking at. This is what's important to me. Like it says in the Zohar, Ikara di yitzra bisha al harayin, vehu ikara di mesavuta. The main strength, the main impurity, the main strength of the other side is all in Pagam HaBrit. When a person falls in Pagam HaBrit. And the reason why is because when a person falls in his mind and he blemishes this Pagam, he blemishes this covenant that he made with Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, what he does is he stops judging himself favorably. He starts looking at all of his big percentage of things he does wrong, and through that he falls in his mind. And when he falls in his mind, he falls into sadness and atzvut, and from there he goes and rolls down and ends up falling also to the actual Pagam HaBrit in a physical way. But it all begins up in the head. The head is the headquarters. It's like a blemish in the Moshe Mashiach. It's a blemish in that tzaddik, because he's not finding that tzaddik. He's not strengthening his power of redemption, which is Moshe Mashiach. He's not strengthening by the power of the tzaddik, which is the power of always justifying himself. He's doing the exact opposite. So that's the main it's the main headquarters of strength that the Yetzer Hara uses, is he gets a person, when a person falls in his mind and he falls into Pagam HaBrit in a physical way, that's how he falls into Atzvus, and he starts bashing himself and feeling like he's far from Hashem, and that's where the main impurity comes from. But if a person would manage to hold on, If a person could hold on to this brit, this covenant, and always just find the little nekudot tovot and use those to judge himself favorably, and not judge ever out of his mouth, judge himself in a bad way. That's like the biggest blemish that a person could possibly do, is speak from his lips words and stuff against himself, against another person. But especially against himself, because that's what we're talking about here. If a person can fix the way he looks at himself, the way he judges himself, it'll automatically get fixed outside of him. When a person merits to do this, then he merits to this aspect of tefillah, of prayer. Because that's what the whole prayer is all about. In order to have, like we said at the beginning of the Torah, that in order to have the sword of prayer, right, to get this sword of prayer, a person has to hold on to the covenant, has to hold on to this brit, because there's no other way a person's prayer can be a good prayer and go up before Hashem and actually have the power of, tilati echtom lach, that Hashem will hold back any judgment or any decrees or anything a person fell in, even if he fell in most of the stuff, in a lot of stuff. Hashem can't hold back that judgment unless there's a prayer, unless the words of the thing that he fell in, those words, he takes those letters and he brings them up in prayer and they go up. So if he holds on to the covenant, then he can merit to this prayer, to this aspect of prayer, and he merits to the aspect of Tehilati Echtom Lach, which Hashem holds back all of the decrees, doesn't judge him in a bad way, doesn't let any of the negative judgments come onto him, because he brought it all up in prayer before Hashem. Ki ikar hareach talui b'tahara. So we know that the smell, like it says by Yaakov Avinu, re'reach b'ni kereach sadeh, asher bercho Hashem, that Yitzchak, when Yaakov came with the garment, so Yitzchak said, well, I see the smell of my son is like, you smell like the field that was blessed by Hashem. And we spoke in length about that inyan, where Yaakov Avinu combined the clothes, so he made a combination with Yaakov and Esav. So he had the Esav garments on the outside, but he had the Yaakov from the inside, which is the neshama from the inside, and he basically subdued the Yetzer Hara, he basically made peace with it. He made peace with Esav by putting the garments and realizing, okay, this is who I am on the outside, right? But on the inside, I'm a neshama, and that's what I'm always holding on to. So Yaakov Avinu, and then Yitzchak gives him the blessing. So he said the smell. So we see the smell, the reach, like Rabbeinu brought over here. It says that V'aricho b'yirat Hashem, that Mashiach's main strength is going to be, he's going to have this pure smell, is because he's not going to, his whole judging, right? He'll never judge people based on what he sees or what he hears. He'll always be judging the dalim, the poor ones, the orphans, the widows. Those are the ones he's going to judge, which means he's always going to judge his neshama, his nekudot tovot, because that's a person's, like we said many times already, that's a person's essence, is all the good that a person grabbed, all the things that have to do with mitzvah, with good. That's a person's essence. That's who he really is. That's who his neshama is. All the things that he fell in is because of his Yetzer Hara. That's the reason why he fell in those things, because of his body and his physicality that he has, which is also all a part of Hashem, and that's why we need to come to that peace, and that's why Yaakov is Yaakov Ishtam. He's a combination of Esav and Yaakov, because you need to make a peace with your Yetzer Hara, with your body. You can't try destroy it and fight it and kill it, because what happens is it ends up killing you. You can't overcome it. You need to try your best to do the Ratzon of Hashem, keep Torah and mitzvahs, stay away from things you should stay away from. But when a person falls, he can't separate that fall, separate that mitzvah from the Torah that said don't do this, and he did it. He can't separate that from the oneness of the Torah, from the oneness of his being, because we're the 613 mitzvahs of the do's and don't do's are included in all of our bones and ligaments. So it's creating a separation, between the Torah if a person does that. So we need to try our best to do what the right thing is, do what Hashem told us to do. And when we fall, we need to take that fall, take that mitzvah, and bring it in and make it a part of the Torah. Make it one with the Torah. And make that peace. Through that, bringing it up before Hashem and telling Hashem what you did. And finding the nekudah of mitzvah, focusing just on the nekudah, meaning by focusing on the Nakuda of good, you're telling Hashem, I know this is who I truly am. This is my essence. Yeah, I'm 90% conquered by my body and my lusts and all that, but this is my essence, this Nakuda. And that's the reason why I'm bringing these Nakudot before Hashem in my Bodhidut, when I'm talking to Hashem about all the things that I fell in, things that I did good, right? I'm always pointing out my Nakudot Tavot, so I'm emphasizing that this is my essence, this is who I am, right? But I'm not, God forbid, separating it and making it putting it aside and ignoring it and looking at myself in a bad way because I did all those bad things and now I'm so dirty, I'm so bad. By that I'm doing a separation also in the Torah, right? Which is the mitzvah, the do's and the don't do's in the Torah. And by doing that, I'm creating a separation from within me. So my body, which is my Esav, right, my Yetzer Hara, and who I really am in my essence, that little soul that I got in my bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, they become separate. And when they become separate, that's when the soul from within me goes under and becomes now the slave, and the body takes over and becomes the ruler, and all the blessings go to the other side. And my physical, all my taivas and my lusts, everything just gets stronger and stronger in my body instead of it being the other way around. Where if I'm focusing just on the Nekudot Tovot and on the good, and I'm not focusing on the bad, what happens is I'm always, even though it's a tiny little bit, because this is the covenant that Hashem made with Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, I don't care if it's even 1%, but as long as you focus on that 1% and always remember that's your essence, then you'll always stay the son of the king. You'll always be the one close to me. And the body will always be a servant, even though the body right now is 99% conquering you. But as long as you keep that balance and you realize this is my true essence, the body was just given for me to serve, right? To serve Hashem with the combination of the soul and the body. And when a person realizes that, and as much as it's hard to understand that and to accept that, but if I can accept that and hold on to that little portion, what happens is my body slowly starts getting subdued to the neshama. And slowly the neshama, the nekudot tavot, get more and more and more and more, because I'm getting all the blessings, all the goodness that's coming down, right? All the shefa that comes down into the world from the Torah, from the mitzvot aseh and lo ta'aseh, right? When a person falls, there's sparks of holiness. All that kedusha starts coming down onto me and doesn't now go into the klipa and go into the evil force of the world, which my body on a personal level corresponds, my physical side of my body corresponds to the physicality of the world, right? And my neshama corresponds to like the ruach, the wind of life there is from within the world. So slowly that gets subdued in the strength, and neshama gets stronger and stronger because I'm getting the light from all those falls. So to do that separation is very important. And when a person does that, then he's zoche ki ikar hareach, this smell of purity, talui b'tahara, it depends on tahara. It always depends on purifying yourself in the judgment, never putting yourself down. It depends on tahara. Like the rabbi said in the Gemara of Sotah, mishebatla tahara, batla hareach. When people started judging themselves in a bad way and not purifying themselves in the judgment, always looking at themselves down and putting impurity on themselves, when that happened, then the smell of that, smelling that neshama from within you, smelling those nekudot avot, right? Like Mashiach's going to have that smell, which means he's only going to be judging you based on your good smell, even if it's a tiny little bit. He's not going to be judging you lemarei einav, lo lemarei einav yishpot, lo lemishma oznav yochiach. He's not going to judge you for in any way of what he sees with his eyes or what he hears people say about your. He's only going to judge you. Shafat b'tzedek dalim ve'ochiach b'mishor le'an ve'aretz. He's just going to be judging everybody, based on their little nekudot tovot, on the good from within them. He's going to judge the dalim, even though a person's 99% bad, right? Dalim is poor. He's going to judge the poor ones, which means he's going to judge that tiny little percentage of good that you have. And that's why he's going to have, his smell is going to be pure. Mashiach's going to have that strength of smell. He's going to smell your Yirat Shamayim, because the Yirat Shamayim on a person, God-fearing person, is someone who goes according to the process that we just spoke about looking at that tiny percentage and saying, that's my essence and that's who I am. So when a person can do that, even though his body is really powerful and and it feels like it's controlling him, it's not in control at all. He's in total control, and that's a person who has Yirat Shamayim, because a person that looks at things that way will move forward every day, again, more and more and more, and he'll never go into despair and sadness and give up on the whole thing, because he realizes he's looking at the picture in the right way, with that da'at of Moshe Rabbeinu that he's getting through the power of the tzaddik, of always justifying himself. Like they brought a story in the Gemara that one of the people there was saying that I can smell recha v'chinunita. I smell chinunita is like it's like dates. I'm not sure exactly what it was or what it looked like, but it's like some sort of dates. And it's interesting because dates is also, they come from the tree, from the date tree, which is, it's tzaddik hatamar ifrach, right? So he was saying, I'm smelling the chinunita, ani meriach, I'm smelling this smell of dates, which means this sweet smell of this, the tzaddik. I'm smelling just that nikuda toiva. So he realized that this person who was saying that he's smelling this smell of dates, right? Has this sensitive smell. He's a person who has this right way of looking. He judges everything in that way where he's always looking for that tzaddik. He's looking for that nikuda, and because of that, he has from within him this pure smell. And that's why he answered him and says, "Bni tahara yesh bcha." He said, "Son, I can see you have tahara. You have a purification on you. You're pure." What do you mean you're pure? You're always purifying yourself. You're never judging yourself in a bad way. And also the word chinunita, which is interesting, it's dates, but it has from within it also the letters chen, which is Torah Aleph. It's all the connection between the chet and the nun, the upper yud, the lower yud, the mind, the heart, right? It also has the letter taf from within it. And before that, it has the letter vav, which we said the connection between the chet and the nun depends on the vav. And then it also has the taf, which the taf is once you have the connection between the heart, right? The mind and the heart are connected, and there's that oneness between them. Then every word that you daven and pray and they go up, it just gets engraved right into Hashem's heart. Like Hashem has to answer the prayer because you have this connection between the chet and the nun. And then it also has the letter aleph, which aleph is the whole thing that we've been talking about, the upper yud, lower yud, and the vav, which is the chet, the nun, right? And of course, it's always connected to us on a personal level. So basically, what Hashem is telling Moshe Rabbeinu over here is he's teaching him in this pasuk. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, go and tell the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, that they're not allowed to ever impure a soul from Am Yisrael. So he's teaching him this. It's teaching us this secret of mamish taking the prayers and always drawing the prayers into this aspect of Torah, taking the letters of the Torah and bringing them up in prayer, right, and drawing them down through the center line in order to, and the way to do this is always by tying them to Moshe Mashiach, which is that power of redemption from within you that all depends on the tzaddik, and through that a person will never impure himself. He'll never judge himself bad. He'll start getting this. Slowly, a wind of purity will come onto him because he's always looking in these pure eyes, and he'll get to his Mashiach. I mean, that's basically what your personal redemption from everything that we're going through depends on. It depends on just looking at everything in this way that we brought in this Torah. Anyhow, it's a little bit hard to tie it all into two psukim, especially Rabbeinu really ties it in, but. Anyhow, we should have an awesome Shabbos, and B'ezrat Hashem, we should be able to reconnect. It's we're talking a lot about connecting the heart and the mind, and I'm hoping B'ezrat Hashem soon it'll actually happen. We'll get this connection because it's enough already. We've been in the Galut long enough. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. Have a great, awesome Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.